afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Members of the Commission.
Will you take a moment and introduce yourself to the commissioners? Tell us why you want to be a judge.
Sure. My name is Scott W. Spradley. I'm a resident of Flagler Beach. I've lived here for 12 years. I've owned a home here for 17. As far as why I want to be a judge, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about the position, this new position of judge. I've been practicing for 31 years, and I come from a family of lawyers. My dad was a lawyer in North Carolina, where I was born, and I've been in Florida ever since high school. I was married to a lawyer for 17 years. My brother-in-law was a lawyer that I was practicing with for a while. So becoming a judge has always been something that I've aspired to. Just a matter of the right time, the right place, and that sort of thing. I come to you today because I think I would be a good judge in this new position. My career has been diversified to the max, with the exception of any criminal experience. In the civil arena, here's what I've done. My career basically has been broken down into halves. The first half of my career, I was in Orlando. I was with a large firm there, and I was primarily representing banks and involved in commercial litigation, complex litigation, all on the side of the lender, for the most part. And I enjoyed that, and I got a lot of experience out of it. Along the way, though, I began dabbling in representing individuals and small businesses, and just over time, I began to get more satisfaction out of that, candidly. Ultimately, I made my way to Flagler Beach 12 years ago and opened up my own practice right across the street from the pier. And then I began focusing my practice almost exclusively on representing small businesses and individuals. And I represent those clients in a variety of matters. I have a bankruptcy practice that I've carried with me since I think my third year in practice. I was at a firm that did commercial litigation, and the first bankruptcy wave hit, and there were no bankruptcy lawyers, and they were afraid they were going to lose their bank clients, so they sent me to a week-long seminar since I was the low man on the totem pole. We were in bankruptcy. So ever since then, I've had a bankruptcy practice, and I continue to. So my practice in Flagler Beach is a combination of bankruptcy and just in general civil litigation, which takes me into county court, and it takes me into circuit court. As far as bankruptcy, for those members of the commission that aren't fully acquainted with bankruptcy, the fact that I have a lot of experience there, I don't view as a negative when it comes to this particular position. And I think Ms. Soar may agree with me on this, that bankruptcy is not really a body of law as it is a place. There's lots of bankruptcy rules and procedures, but when there are matters to be litigated in the bankruptcy court, it's about Florida law. So the same sorts of litigation that we see in state court, whether it's collection-oriented litigation, whether it's fraudulent conveyance, that sort of thing, is the same law in bankruptcy court as it is here. As far as my experience at that level, I would call myself a courtroom lawyer, or a trial lawyer. That's what my practice has been for the entirety of my career. I think, just in sort of getting ready for today, I went back and reviewed, how many judges have I appeared before? And both in federal court, federal appellate court, circuit court, county court, bankruptcy appellate court. And I would have to say it's going to be around 100, probably 100 judges I've appeared before. And I would say that I have taken a piece of every judge I've appeared before. Some of them are incredibly experienced, some not. Some have fabulous courtroom demeanors, some not. And so I would like to think that since for the entirety of my career, I've always thought as a judicial appointment as being the crowning achievement of a career, that I've taken all that with me. I know what I want to be, I know what I don't want to be. I think that in my case, I have good temperament. I'm a good listener. My 18-year-old daughter, were she here, she would say, I remember every word and every promise she's ever made. So I do that, and I think that I would carry that with me to the bench. Being acquainted with county court across the state, because my practice carries me all over the state, I'm familiar with the pro se litigant. They are my current clients. You know, when people come, families come to see me these days, it's about mortgage foreclosures, and I'm trying to help them figure a way within the law to keep their house, whether it's defending them in a foreclosure, or if it's a personal bankruptcy, or if it's a collection matter. I come over here all the time on credit card collection cases. So I do that. The pro se litigant is someone with whom I'm very acquainted. When it comes to more complex matters, well, I've done that too. Like I said, the whole first half of my career, I was primarily at Gray Robinson. When it comes to managing a caseload, that I know that the new judge is going to be pulling hair out when that comes to be. That's one of my strengths. I have a high volume practice, and it's varied. There was a day in January of this year, I was involved. I represented a company in Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Orlando, and it was widely, a lot of press was generated by that company because of how much money that it owed. But there was a day that I had a significant contested hearing in the federal bankruptcy court in Orlando in the afternoon. And that morning, I was over here at a credit card mediation. And then between those two, I was in my office doing the telephone foreclosure mediation. And that's sort of symptomatic of what my practice has been. I work well with people. I have, as I said, I've been here for 11 years. I've had my office open. And I have my office manager is the same person today as it was when I started. And I tend to hire people that know what they're doing, and I help them get to where they need to be. So I'm acquainted with what it takes to administer a heavy caseload, and I view that as a challenge that I'm up for. I'm also not looking at a county judge position as a stepping stone elsewhere. I've had my career. This appears to be the perfect timing and the perfect position for me. I live here, as I said, full-time. My daughter's now off in college in Fort Myers. And I'm getting married in the coming weeks, so that'll be nice. And she lives here. So I want to stay here, and I would like to get this position, and I'm going to use it to go someplace else. I also recognize that this is a 2-year appointment, and next step is an election. I have been very active in the community. I'm deeply rooted in this community. Presently, for example, I chair the Charter Review Commission for the City of Flagler Beach. My name is one that, luckily, when it's been in publication, it's been in a good way. But I have many business contacts, and my life is spent in Flagler Beach and Flagler County. So if I'm fortunate enough to be appointed to this position, I have a high level of optimism that I'll be able to keep that seat for the next election.
Go ahead and open up to the commissioners for any questions you may have.
Tell us about your involvement with the substance recovery.
Yes, I meant to bring that right. That's mentioned in my materials. A little more than a decade ago, I became aware that I was developing and had developed a dependence upon alcohol. Nothing more, no illegal substances, no pharmaceuticals, but it was a problem. And luckily, I view myself fortunate about that experience for many reasons. One is that I was able to see and then admitted that I had an issue. But the next good thing that happened was I decided to do something about it, and did. I tried to quit. I needed assistance. I went in and got treatment for myself, and I'm actually coming up on my 10-year sobriety anniversary next month. But to me, the fact that I was able to do it, that I was able to go through it, that I experienced it, that I did it before there were any consequences, I was lucky. But I did it, and I consider between my 18-year-old daughter and that, those are my 2 biggest accomplishments in life, I believe. But I didn't want to just leave it at that. I wanted to help others because I had help along the way. That's not something that if you run into that you're able to do without strong support from family, friends, colleagues, and others. So since then, it has been a mission of mine to reach out and help others. You saw my application. I give CLE seminars to judges and lawyers about the dangers of addiction and how to spot it. And I've become educated on the subject, not just through my own experience, but through my own research. And it so happens, you probably won't be shocked to know that alcoholism in the legal community is nearly double what it is in the general population. I get calls on a regular basis, confidential calls from judges, both federal and state court judges, about what to do about this. Well, I give a talk at the court, for example, and I'll land at the federal court, and I share my experience. So for me, I consider myself lucky, but I intend to continue to help others whenever I can, whenever I'm called upon.
I do some bankruptcy law, and I appreciate that Chapter 11 bankruptcies are pretty complicated. Can you explain, or at least briefly describe the level of complexity that you have to, be familiar with in order to get a successful Chapter 11 reorganization approved by the federal court?
It is in some ways a mind-boggling experience to approach at the ground level. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is intended to help businesses stay alive and thus for employees to keep their jobs. Along the way, you run into a quagmire of bankruptcy process and procedure. There's all kinds of what are called adversary proceedings, little pieces of litigation within the case. And sometimes it involves the bankruptcy lawyer, say if I represent the company, having to call on others with expertise in their area, whether it be employment law, real estate law, or whatever, to come in and pitch in and help. So it really involves a lot. It involves a lot of different areas of the law, and that's why I was saying earlier, there's really no bankruptcy law. It's just different. It's a place to fight about all kinds of things. And then last but not least, to get a case confirmed, you have to get the votes of the creditors. This is not a matter of me proposing a plan of reorganization and asking the judge to approve it. I have to lobby the creditors and get them on board. And so for that reason, I have developed the ability to work with adversaries and then to try to come to a common ground, common solution. Probably one of the best achievements you can get as a bankruptcy lawyer is to get a case confirmed. Anybody else?
Other questions? I think one question I have is why county court? So we talked about why Flagler, but why county? I mean, you're obviously an intellectual guy. Why are we not talking federal court? Why are we not talking circuit court? Why are we talking county?
I've thought about it, and for me, I knew this. I knew that, I'm in a great location for a bankruptcy practice because I'm 1 hour and 10 minutes from Orlando, 1 hour and 10 minutes from Jacksonville, which is great. But candidly, I'm tired of driving. And I like the idea of being able to, instead of spending 4 days a week on the road going one or the other, even if it is such an esteemed position as a federal bankruptcy judge, the idea of staying here, this is where I live, I like it. Circuit court, if the position that was open today was for circuit judge, I probably would have an equal eye towards it. But I'm not looking to use this to go there. I'm anxious to settle down, take a job, and if you get appointed here, take that job.
Other questions? Anything you want to leave us with?
Other than that, I'm excited about this opportunity. I really, this is not something that caught my eye. It's something that would be an opportunity. It is an opportunity, but it's something that I really want to do and do a good job. I think that I won't disappoint you if you submit my name, and I think that if then appointed, I will do a good job, and I believe that I would have an excellent opportunity to hold that seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.